You're looking for a thermal camera that actually helps you get the job done without turning into a gadget you have to wrestle with every time you pull it out. You want something reliable enough to show up on a roof at sunrise, easy enough to live with when you're on a long inspection, and worth the price tag so you're not stuck paying for a long feature list you'll never use. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The biggest hesitation I hear from people who need a thermal imager is the fear of buying a unit that looks great on paper, but ends up being a constant source of frustration, especially when you're trying to diagnose a hot spot on an electrical panel or locate moisture behind a wall. It's a real risk, because the wrong camera can waste hours, drain batteries fast, and still leave you guessing whether the temperature reading is accurate. If you're a building inspection professional, an HVAC technician, or even a serious hobbyist who spends weekends hunting for wildlife heat signatures, the FLIR E6 Pro lands squarely in the should-buy zone. The device sits at the sweet spot where the price meets the performance you actually need on the field. It's not a toy for casual weekenders who only want a quick snap of a dog's nose. It's also not a high-end lab instrument that costs a small fortune and demands a steep learning curve. For anyone who needs to identify and troubleshoot problems quickly, say, spotting a failing transformer before it fries an entire circuit, this camera gives you a clear thermal picture without the need for a separate laptop or external software. On the flip side, if your only use case is occasional DIY home checks, or you're looking for a camera that doubles as a regular visual DSLR, the E6 Pro may feel a bit over-engineered, especially since it's focused on thermal work rather than high-resolution visible light photography. What really makes the E6 Pro feel usable day-to-day is how FLIR has streamlined the menu system. When you power it on, you're greeted by a simple overlay that shows temperature range, a spot meter, and a live histogram, everything you need to confirm you're looking at the right spot. The Wi-Fi connectivity hooks straight into the FLIR Ignite cloud, so you can push images to your phone or tablet without swapping memory cards. In practice, that means you can finish a roof inspection, walk back to the truck, and have the thermal report already uploaded, ready to send to a client with a few taps. Battery life is another practical win. The built-in lithium-ion pack holds enough charge for roughly 5 hours of intermittent use, which matches the typical length of a full-day service call. I've seen users in the field appreciate that the camera shuts down automatically after a period of inactivity, conserving power without you having to remember to turn it off manually. Thermal imaging itself can be tricky in low-light or high-contrast environments, but the E6 Pro sensor handles those situations with a level of confidence that's easy to notice. The autofocus works on temperature gradients rather than visual detail, so you don't have to worry about a blurry hotspot when you're looking at a pipe that's just a few degrees above ambient. In real-world terms, I've watched an electrician use it in a dimly lit basement to pinpoint a loose connection that was heating up, and the image stayed sharp enough to read the temperature value directly on the spot. Stabilization isn't a high-tech gimbal, but the internal processor does a good job of smoothing out minor handshake, which is handy when you're standing on a ladder or crouched under a pipe. The lens ecosystem for the E6 Pro is fairly limited. FLIR's proprietary lenses mean you can't swap in third-party optics, but the supplied lens is calibrated for the 210mm range that most commercial applications need, so you won't feel restricted unless you're chasing niche scientific research. All things considered, the FLIR E6 Pro is a practical tool for anyone who needs reliable thermal data on a regular basis. It hits the sweet spot between beginner friendliness thanks to its intuitive menus and cloud integration and professional credibility, with a patented sensor and a solid 2-year parts and labor warranty that backs up the claim of durability. If you're the type of user who values quick diagnostics, needs a camera that can survive a day's worth of fieldwork, and wants the peace of mind that your images are instantly backed up, this is the model to put on your list. If, however, you're after a multi-purpose camera that doubles as a high-resolution visual shooter, or you're on a shoestring budget, you might be better served looking elsewhere. The E6 Pro isn't perfect, its lens options are fixed, and you'll need to get comfortable with the thermal-focused workflow, but it delivers on the promises that matter most when you're out there troubleshooting real problems. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon.